Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics, and I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine, the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, and without a doubt, the people's choice and the people's voice. Yes, it's me, Fernando Uribe. Hope you have a wonderful end to the month of March. Shout out to all the ladies here as we're closing out Women's History Month, to all our moms, our aunts, grandmothers, sisters, wives, godmothers, sisters-in-laws, colleagues, whoever. Again, all the ladies making a difference in our lives. A shout out to you, especially my mom, my aunt, my bestie, my other best friend. Love you ladies. You make a difference, and a profound one in my life every single day. And of course, we always know ladies make a difference for us each and every waking moment. So a shout out to them as we close out Women's History Month. There is a lot to discuss, so let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, certainly I do want to pay homage to the ladies during the close of Women's History Month, but there are some ladies that concern me. And of course, a shout out to the New Jersey Monitor for a very interesting editorial this week talking about a political sort of grassroots activism organization that, quite frankly, I would argue is doing more harm than good, not just here in New Jersey, but on a national level. So a shout out to Nancy Colasordo from the New Jersey Monitor for sort of bringing awareness to this. Now, she starts off by saying, it's easy to feel when reading or watching the news that our country is devolving into a place that we don't recognize, okay? So, for example, she goes, look, on the ground, that's right, the place with the community organizers, the persistent activists, the behind-the-scenes change makers, they're assembling, plotting. It's interesting for her to sort of admit the word of the plotting, because that would seem that's kind of a little chicanery there, but more on that later. Growing and ascending into places where their presence has impact. This is a story of Jerry Generoni, the executive director of Emerge New Jersey, an organization with its mission to boost the number of Democratic women leaders from diverse backgrounds into public office. Now, New Jersey is one of 27 states with chapters in Emerge, a national organization founded over 20 years ago in the Bay Area to help back then, and guess what, folks, this should make your stomach churn, it certainly made me nauseous, to help Kamala Harris in her campaign to become district attorney of San Francisco. Yes, folks, all the way back when Kamala Harris was being the incompetent district attorney in San Francisco. Yes, she would work her way up, whether it was sleeping with the mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown, who knows who else she slept with, during her ascent into political superstardom, right? As she became attorney general, and then for the state of California, and then subsequently becoming a United States Senator, and now the cackling hyena that we have to endure every single day on our televisions and our social media news feeds. Yes, you can thank Emerge for helping to catapult such an incompetent woman. Now, some numbers from decades before provide perspective. In 1980, for example, there were 809 women in state legislatures across the country, giving them 11% of all seats. Now in 2023, there are 2,413 women, again, an increase of 33%, but it's still a glacial one considering that women represent more than 50% of the U.S. population. In New Jersey, for example, out of 120 legislators, only 42 are women. Now, Generoni gets the gravity of the mission, but through sheer conversation, she took the author to a place of hope in the space of an hour. She goes on to say, quote, our mission is to help women in the new American majority. That's Black, Brown, Indigenous, LGBTQ, plus unmarried and young women and all the barriers that they face. Now, Emerge New Jersey had a win rate of 75% last election cycle and 100% in the primary, on par with Emerge's national figures. It counts among its alumnus, State Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake and Hillside Mayor Dahlia Vertrees. Now, while touting world-class facilitators as an integral facet of Emerge training, Generoni notes it mostly distinguishes itself from other fine training programs with its vast network. For example, Emerge makes a point of not abandoning graduates once they become alumnus. And the ability to introduce a candidate from New Jersey to her counterpart in Michigan or Alabama is central to its success. But since the curriculum doesn't include policy, which it should, because how many, intellectually bankrupt and dishonest women do we have in this legislature, especially Democrats? I don't have enough fingers and toes to name them. Now, Generoni is happy to connect her alumnus with policy experts where needed. As for the nuts and bolts, the training consists of comprehensive work in public speaking, fundraising, media and messaging, as well as campaign strategy, technology, field operations, endorsements, and ethical leadership. Now, interested candidates aren't turned away if they lack financial resources. The program does provide scholarship funding and will train them to fundraise to cover the potential $800 tuition fee, which is predicated on completing the program with Emerge. Now, the 65-hour hybrid model has also made it more convenient for women with demanding schedules and geographic challenges to partake in the program. Generoni has gone on to say, quote, women collaborate much better than men do. That's not really true, but okay, fine. She's entitled to her opinion, not her own facts. That's what makes them so effective at governing their ability and willingness to reach across the aisle, unlike men do historically. That's not true, Generoni. Jesus Christ. This woman is just like, you want to talk about insufferable already from the get-go. Jerry's doing a good job here. Now, Generoni was a Brielle resident down the shore and was a mother and yoga instructor in the public library system when, over a 4-year span, the shooting of Trayvon Martin, the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut, and the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando put her on a new path. She went from volunteering for Barack Obama's presidential campaign. Again, you can thank, Jerry, for, sicking us with 8 years of this clown. Quote, literally taking my toddlers who are now grown women to town halls and getting yelled at by Tea Party protesters, to moms demand action for gun sense, eventually learning the state's leadership role in the latter. Well, folks, now this is what's interesting too. With the troubling election of Donald Trump, Generoni was propelled to another level of action, from volunteer to paid positions. She has been the campaign manager and political director for U.S. Representative Frank Pallone, director of advocacy and special campaigns for political consultants Perano and Associates, and a regional field organizer for Phil Murphy's 2017 campaign for governor. So, folks, when we think about how bad New Jersey is to live in, or some of the awful legislators in New Jersey, or even nationally, you can thank insufferable women like Jerry Generoni, because it's women like this, left-wing leaning women, who probably never took a biology course, who clearly never took an economics course, and sort of live and die on professional victimhood, gaslighting, and all the virtue signaling you can come to expect from women like Jerry Generoni. And it's pretty disturbing, folks. Again, when you think about Emerge's origins, okay, they helped catapult an incompetent woman like Kamala Harris, ultimately now all the way to the vice presidency. And while I'm praying and hoping that it's only a one-termer for this clown, you know what? There are plenty of other women that Jerry Generoni, I'm sure, will help to catapult up into state-level positions, if not federal positions as well. And it's kind of disturbing, folks, because, again, listen, I'm all about empowering women, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to mislead you. I think that conservative women do a much better job when it comes to fiscal issues, when it comes to budgetary issues, and I think when it comes to social issues. Again, Jerry Generoni will want you to believe that there's 35 genders. Okay? Jerry Generoni would want you to believe that men suffering through some sort of mental illness who now identify as women think it's normal. Okay? This is who Jerry Generoni is. And this is what makes her dangerous. Not even to mention the fact that this is a woman, okay, who for a long, long time now has been sort of embedded within the political game, not just nationally, but obviously here. So when you think about why your property taxes are as high as they are, folks, okay, and why we take millions of dollars of taxpayer money to put into a legal fund to help provide legal representation for illegals here in the state of New Jersey, you can thank Jerry Generoni for that. It's left-wing liberal women like her that are destroying not just New Jersey, but the country. Okay? Again, let me be very clear. I'm all about empowering women, but smart women, not some of the women that Jerry Generoni clearly likes to advocate for. Again, folks, let's just go back to Emerge's origins, okay? In helping to catapult someone like Kamala Harris. And we all know what an incompetent, useless woman she's become over the years. Okay, it's hard to argue it, folks. And you have to sort of, you have to have some level of awareness here to understand that this woman has just been probably the worst thing to happen to the office of the vice presidency in the 400-year history of the United States. Okay, but never mind. Again, I don't want to pick on Kamala Harris too much. I do that enough on social media. But let me get back to Jerry Generoni here, because again, this is a woman who's dangerous. This is a woman who is training other women to subscribe to some of the same woke nonsense that she lives and dies on. And it's a shame, obviously, yes, fine, she'd take her toddlers to town halls, and now her daughters are now just probably as insufferable as she is. And that's a shame, because when we think about good, smart policy women, I think of Nikki Haley. I think of Holly Schapese here in the state of New Jersey, who serves in the state Senate. I think of, other female legislators in New Jersey that quite frankly get it right. who are trying to make, for example, this state more affordable. But not Jerry Giannaroni, though. This is a woman who, again, avidly campaigned for Phil Murphy, a woman who avidly campaigns, right, for Frank Pallone, again, another insufferable leftist, right, who, loves to ring the bells during election season about, reproductive rights and choice. Folks, and again, I say this to all the women with all due respect, okay? You need to stop your bitching and moaning, okay? Because here in New Jersey, no one's coming for your uterus. No one's coming for your ovaries. No one's trying to take control of your bodies, okay? Your reproductive rights have been codified into state law, okay? Now, if you want to bitch and moan about what's going on in Tennessee or Missouri or Texas or Florida or Georgia, well, go move there. Go move there, okay? Try to make a difference and try to change state legislatures there. But here in New Jersey, all your bitching and moaning is doing is it's window dressing. And all it really does is gaslight, because we all know that it's really under false pretenses. There's no risk of reproductive rights, for example, being under attack in New Jersey. It isn't, okay? There's a Democratic majority in both the state assembly and the state senate, okay? Now, let me be very clear. I'm someone that is a pro-choice person within reason. I don't believe in aborting a child during the 9th month of a pregnancy unless it's absolutely necessary, unless the life of a mother is at risk or the fetus might be stillborn. I mean, those are exceptions, I'm willing to live with. But the idea of just using, abortion as birth control is madness. Okay? But that's the sort of climate we've come to live in now, not just in New Jersey, but nationally. And rest assured, folks, when we think about insufferable women that toe this political line and ring the bells of hysteria every election season, you can always rely on someone like Jerry Giannaroni. Again, it's a shame, though. She's basically brainwashing other women to subscribe to the same intellectually bankrupt nonsense that she believes in. I don't know. I still have hope that good, strong, conservative women are on the horizon. They are. And hopefully they're here to stay. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. And now some local stories for your consideration. A shout out to Mark Husau from the Jersey Journal for his report on this story. And so, folks, it's going to be a very busy election season for Democrats here in Hudson County. Now, certainly there's multiple nominations for county offices, and of course, all the seats in the state legislature are up for grabs later on this June and November, respectively. Now, the Hudson County Democratic Organization is looking to defend its total control of the offices, for example, of the county executive, the board of commissioners, with many incumbents facing progressive challengers. On the state legislative side, a massive shuffle of the county's delegation will unfold following redistricting from last year, with old faces getting potential promotions and new faces looking to succeed old ones. In a heavily Democratic Hudson County, a victory in the June 6th primary amounts to an election, most certainly in November. So, for example, when it comes to the county executive offices, we have Craig Guy, Tom DeJesus, chief of staff for many, many years, and he's looking to be the HCDO's pick to succeed his boss. Now, Elena Little, an environmental engineer, is taking him on as the Democratic primary's progressive candidate. Now, the HCDO has 8 incumbents and 1 newcomer up for nominations, with 5 of them playing defense against a slate of progressives in the upcoming primary in June. Kenneth Kopash, who's held office since 2015, faces realtor TJ Senger in District 1. Bill O'Day, a longtime incumbent since 1997, is being challenged by Adrian Gonenda, a New York University graduate student studying public policy in District 2. Which is kind of interesting, folks, because you would think that someone who's studying public policy, right, wouldn't lean so far left. But again, that's what progressives tend to do, and again, continue to be, in many instances, intellectually bankrupt. Then we have Ureta Aponte Lipsky, the wife of former Jersey City Councilman Steve Lipsky, and is seeking re-election for a second term. She faces Mamta Singh, the executive director of JC Families Incorporated in District 4, right? And for example, we have many others. For example, the seat for District 8 will have a new face after board chairman Anthony Veneri decided to run for North Bergen Township Board of Commissioners in May, which I don't understand why you would do that, Anthony. Like, you're the chairman of the Hudson County Freeholders / Commissioners. Why would you relegate yourself to being a commissioner in a township? I get you're the HCDO chairman, but you'd have much more influence doing that. And I'm sure I'm not the only one telling you this, Anthony. I mean, why you're doing this beats me, but again, it's your life. In Veneri's place, the HCDO has endorsed Bob Baselisi, the North Bergen Parking Authority Executive Director. He is facing a challenge from Stephanie Martinez, a recent St. Peter's University graduate. Commissioners Jerry Walker, Fanny Cedeno, and Caridad Rodriguez of Districts 3, 6, and 8, respectively, are running unopposed in the primary. Now, in the state legislature, for example, the fallout of state legislative redistricting and the ensuing game of musical chairs, which we've come to expect within the HCDO, will give the June primary ballot a new look. For example, in the 31st Legislative District, Assemblywoman Angela McKnight, who has served in the lower chamber since 2016, got the nod to run as the district state Senate seat and potentially succeed retiring incumbent Senator Cunningham. Again, a shout out to Senator Cunningham. Always has been very gracious and has been a wonderful lady coming on my podcast via Blog Talk Radio over the years. Potentially succeeding McKnight is Barbara Stamato, the vice chairwoman of the HCDO and the head of the Jersey City Democratic Organization. Assemblyman William Sampson is also seeking re-election for a second term. Cunningham, who has served in the state Senate since 2007, will not be seeking re-election after facing unspecified health issues. There will also be two primary challengers in the district. Michael Griffin, a former campaign manager now for Councilman Frank Gilmore, is challenging McKnight for the state Senate seat, while Chanel Smith is running for one of the assembly seats. Now, the new 32nd Legislative District will have an assembly member seek the Senate in the form of Raj Mukherjee, who's been in the lower chamber since 2014. His running mates will include Jessica Ramirez, a very accomplished attorney, and John Allen, the former assistant corporation counsel in Hoboken, of course, and, to no one's surprise, a stooge because he is a member of the law firm where Ravi Bala is also employed. So if that doesn't scream of favoritism, I don't know what does when it comes to Ravi Bala and, of course, John Allen. Assemblywoman Annette Chaparro, who has served in the Assembly since 2016 in the previous 33rd Legislative District, declined to seek re-election after the HCDO dropped their support of her, which is a shame. And I think, shame on Ravi Bala for not including Annette Chaparro in the new 32nd Legislative District. Okay? You could have kept Jessica Ramirez, okay? You could have kept her, all right? Very accomplished attorney. Met her, dynamite lady, okay? And she certainly can cover that part of Jersey City where the new district is encompassing. But you know what? Annette Chaparro has busted her ass for Hoboken residents and for the legislative district. She has served under State Senator Brian Steck for many, many years. And now again, let me be very clear about Annette Chaparro. There's some bills that she's voted on and some positions she's taken that has not sat well with me. And I've told her so. It's not like, all of a sudden I'm throwing shade at Annette. No. We've talked about it off the air. We've talked off the record. There's some things that have not sat well with me. But I have a good rapport with Annette. I could talk to her like adults, and we could agree to disagree. But she's been a very loyal and dedicated legislator. Why Ravi Bala would abandon a Latina woman to put a white man in there? Again, for someone like Ravi Bala, who's I'm Mr. Pro-Democrat, I'm all about diversity, I'm all about inclusion. Ravi, what are you doing? You're kicking out a woman to insert a white man? No less your law firm partner? I mean, really? Folks, does that not smell shady to you? It smells shady to me. And again, I'm just surprised that more Hoboken residents or more people in the new 32nd Legislative District have not stuck up for Annette. And it's a shame because she's a great lady. She's a single mom working at City Hall in Hoboken who has, again, been an exceptional public servant. Why Ravi Bala would acquiesce to his law firm partner is beyond me. And again, folks, for someone like Ravi Bala, and I can't say this enough, this is a guy who, again, will just be insufferable about how proud of a Democrat he is, how progressive he is, and how Hoboken is becoming this progressive city, okay? And how he supports men, women of color, and all that. That's BS. Because if you really cared about men and women of color, like brown specifically, you would have kept Annette Chaparro and not put a white man in there. Again, nothing against white men. But for a party that always talks about inclusion and diversity and making sure that all populations are represented, well, Ravi, you're not doing that by kicking out Annette Chaparro and inserting John Allen. But again, Ravi, you can do what you want, but at some point, some political karma hopefully comes your way. All right? Over in the new 33rd Legislative District, longtime State Senator Brian Stack is seeking re-election for another term in the successor to the old 33rd District. He too will have new running mates in the Assembly, which include the current mayor of West New York, Gabriel Rodriguez, and current North Bergen Commissioner, Julio Marenco. Okay. Also, for example, other elections being held this year. In East Newark, for example, Mayor Dina Grillo, stand-up lady as well, who's been on Talking the Hudson, again, looking forward to talking with her again, is seeking re-election for a second term and is facing a challenge in the Democratic primary from Councilwoman Jessica Diaz, Democratic Council members Jeannie Sinkavaje, and Kenneth Sheehan are running unopposed in the primary. Lastly, Harrison will have 4 town council seats up for grabs. Now, residents have until May 16th to register to vote for the upcoming primaries and have until May 30th to apply for a mail-in ballot. Well, again, folks, a lot of diversity, maybe not so much in Hoboken, but I would say that, yes, there's a lot of diversity here intellectually. But what bothers me, though, folks, about these progressive challengers, and again, we've all gotten to know them, okay? Insufferable left-wingers like Chiquitin, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know, Hector Segura, and others that are progressives and that believe that we print money and that for some reason there's 35 genders and that somehow, you know, we should live in a world without borders and that we should coddle illegals at all hours. That's not, at least the Democrats that I know in Hudson County. Now, by and large, folks, again, as a conservative, I mean, I don't have a dog in this fight because I don't, you know, vote, obviously, in those districts. And, you know, now, again, I have a very, very good relationship with many of the county commissioners, which include Anthony Romano, a fellow member of Cowboys Nation, certainly Bill O'Day, and many others, Fanny Cedeno as well, who have always been very gracious to me and been more than willing to talk with me on camera when I've done segments. But for some of these progressive challengers, folks, I don't know, they worry me because, again, giving them even the slightest inkling of power should concern all of you. Because, again, if we've learned anything from electing progressives, right, like the insufferable Puerto Rican princess across the river in New York, like AOC, or, for example, Ayanna Pressley, anti-Semites like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, when you start electing progressive, and especially progressive women, we all know the blank show that we're getting with such incompetent women. And again, folks, men or women, we're seeing that sort of incompetence being sort of on steroids when it comes to progressives. Now, again, you might say, well, Fernando, you're a conservative. I get it why you don't like progressives. I can understand how some progressive policies can make sense. But again, folks, if you've ever taken at least one economics course, you know that many of their policies are just fantasy, and they don't make any economic sense or political sense. But again, don't say that to progressives. They'll get very, very snooty, they'll get very salty, and they'll get very, very fickle. Now, what happens during this primary season leading up to June remains to be seen. We're still weeks and weeks away. Will we see debates? Will we see town halls? Who knows? Will we see it virtually, in person? Hey, your guess is as good as mine, but rest assured, folks, a lot of Democrats in Hudson County are facing a challenge for the very first time, and for some of them, it's very new. And now, another local story in Jersey City, and a shout out to Mark Cuso once again from the Jersey Journal for his exceptional reporting on this story. Now, when it comes to the cannabis industry, though, business activity in Hudson County, quite frankly, folks, isn't just limited to Secaucus, Jersey City, and Hoboken. Municipalities such as North Bergen, West New York, and even Harrison are upping their legal weed game, ranging from dispensaries to other related facilities. For example, in North Bergen, the township could have multiple types of cannabis businesses, ranging from dispensaries to cultivation and ultimately manufacturing facilities. There are 2 recreational dispensaries, the maximum allowed in the township, slated for potential opening. For example, the Greenhouse Apothecary on River Road near the Hudson River waterfront, and the Daily Muse on Tulane Avenue near 69th Street. Now, Farrell Lozano, the CEO of Green Horse and a local real estate agent, said he's hoping to begin sales this summer with a dispensary to be located on the first floor of a newly constructed 8-store building. Lozano noted that the dispensary would have a positive impact on the township, such as bringing in tax revenue, hiring local workers, and awarding scholarships to local students. Lozano went on to say in a press release, quote, "We're going to be about health and wellness, education, and I think that the country is going on the same path. We're starting to realize that that's not just the devil's drug that people think it is. It's going to be something that's really going to be able to help a lot of people." Now, other potential establishments for cannabis include Happy Hour Extracts, a manufacturing facility at the same location as the Daily Muse, and CYOURNJ, a cultivation facility near the New Jersey Turnpike. Over in West New York, the Nile of NJ has a state license to sell cannabis on Bergen Lane Avenue in the town's cannabis zone, which is on Bergen Lane Avenue between 49th and 54th Street, and would be the lone recreational dispensary in the township itself, since only one is permitted. An opening date has not yet been determined. Over in Harrison, 2 recreational dispensaries, Cookies Harrison and Green Origin Solutions, are looking to sell at a residential complex right off of Route 280. So far, Harmony Dispensary in Secaucus is the only location in Hudson County that sells recreational cannabis. Jersey City and Hoboken, while having numerous applications at various stages of the approval process, do not have yet any stores open. Now, Weehawken, Union City, and Guttenberg have banned recreational sales from taking place within their boundaries. Also in Bayonne, where cannabis regulations were amended to confine businesses to the east side of Route 440, it appears that no businesses have indeed applied. All potential businesses overall, ladies and gentlemen, will need approval by the State Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Folks, let me just sort of put this out there again. I've never smoked marijuana. I don't care to. It's never interested me. And I'm sure many of you at home would think, well, for someone as uptight as Fernando Uribe, yeah, maybe smoking a blunt or having an edible or two might do him some good. Well, again, folks, it's not for me. You know, I like a good glass of wine. And quite frankly, folks, when it comes to vices, I'm good with wine and women. So those are the vices that keep me happy, and I'm sure many, many others will agree with me. But for many, many others, when it comes to pain management, when it comes to dealing with anxiety, helping with their mental health, we've all seen what the data tells us. Recreational cannabis and medicinal cannabis does indeed work. Again, we don't need people hooked on opioids. We don't need people hooked on pain medications. If they can use edibles, if they can use CBD oils, if they can use recreational cannabis to help cope with their pain and discomfort and any anxiety or other mental health issues, why not, folks? Again, the data's there. Okay, I get it. I get into arguments all the time, and I understand there's still a generational disconnect that exists about recreational marijuana. I understand there's still a stigma that's attached to recreational marijuana. Okay, I understand all that, but I think we have to get past it. Okay, the less we're relying on pain medications, the less we are relying on harder drugs, I think the better we'll all be. Now, what happens with these cannabis businesses and the revenues that they bring in? Again, folks, I'm all about the revenue. Again, as a capitalist, as someone who believes in generating revenues, as someone who doesn't believe in that, hey, raising taxes is the first thing we should do. No, if we can generate revenues somehow, that's great, without raising taxes. It'll employ people. It'll keep, again, a closer look about what's going on with our dispensaries. Folks, it checks off so many, many boxes. Okay, now, what happens with the revenues, how it's being used, is it being put back into the community? Is it helping to fund our schools? Is it helping to fund more programs for seniors? Is it funding more programs to help our veterans? If that's what the revenue will go for, absolutely. But if it's going to go into a fund that gets manipulated at the state level in Trenton, we all know, folks, how the far left has hijacked, whether it's the gas tax, the Transportation Trust Fund, or anything else, folks. When extra revenue comes in, we all know that for every $2 that goes into Trenton, for some reason, far left legislators, right, who've never taken any sort of economics course, will spend $3. That's the one thing I'm worried about. But when it comes to, again, recreational marijuana, cannabis, and dispensaries, folks, I think it's a win-win across the board. And that's our show for this week. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, to check out all the exceptional programming brought to you by the Hudson Media Group, the leader in independent media, please go to their websites, www.hmgtvshows.com, as well as www.livestream.com/hmgtv. Don't forget to subscribe to the Hudson Media Group on YouTube, and of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter, and also like them on Facebook. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, special programming note, new episodes of the 7-time award-winning podcast, Talking the Hudson, will resume in April via blogtalkradio.com/talkingthehudson. We'll have local legislators, we'll have candidates, journalists, and many, many more guests in the coming weeks ahead on Talking the Hudson. Folks, don't forget to check out this show, obviously, on Facebook. Make sure you like it. Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe. Also follow it on Instagram. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, always sharing is caring. Wherever you get the Hudson Media Group on all your social media platforms, share it and make sure to support the leader in independent media. Once again, I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino, via the Latino Spirit online magazine, the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, and without a doubt, the people's choice and the people's voice. Fernando Uribe saying so long, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, a shout out to all the ladies as we close out Women's History Month. And as always, thank you so much for watching.